Welcome to another mobile edition of Crime Time with DutyRon and Ed Wallace. Guys and girls, we are retired New York City police detectives with over 20 years of law enforcement. And if you like all things true crime related from a police perspective, consider hitting the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you'll get all things DutyRon and Ed Wallace when we go live or upload another video. Today, I want to talk to you about the Kiely Rodni case and, the potential for police failure in a search. This has been spoken about, all over the internet. I've seen it on TikTok. I'm seeing it on Twitter. I'm seeing it on Facebook, all the social media outlets. Everybody's having conversations about it. And you know what? It's a conversation that needs to be had. We're all kind of scratching our heads and everyone's thinking, what went wrong and how did they miss her, out in the Prosser Reservoir or lake, as they call it. So, again, it's not going to be a bash or pile on the police. It's just a conversation that I want to have with you folks. I just want to say thank you to all of the Patreon supporters, the channel members, and everybody who positively engages in this community. You guys are what makes this a great place. And I give thanks and praise to each and every one of you because you are what makes us a great place. And it's also what enables us to have these type of conversations. Anne-Marie Rubenacre, thank you for being here. Sean B., Dawn Marie, Waterfall, Rhonda Hughes, and all the new subscribers who have joined Crime Time with DutyRon. We are honored, Ed Wallace and I, to have you here as new subscribers, the returning and all of the old timers, as I like to call you guys, the OGs. It's always great to see you coming back and continuing our conversation in regards to police investigations and searching for missing persons, because that's what this is all about. Twisted Gemini, good to see you. Nanapada, thank you. Lieutenant Pete, I love Creative Spirit. All of you guys here today means a lot to me. And I thank you guys all for being here. So I presented to you, hi Wendy, hi Nikki Bella, good to see you. Snow Glasses, Leopard, I love that screen name. I presented to you in the live chat yesterday, and by a show of hands, who was here in that live chat when we covered the press conference, Ed Wallace and I? If you were here, just put a 1 in the chat so I know you were here and you know what I'm going to be saying right now. Put a 2 if you weren't in that live chat or you didn't hear what I had to say during the live press conference. I presented something to you guys that I thought was a possibility. Now, it's not something that's outrageous and outlandish and not probable. It could be one of the many reasons why police might have missed Kiely Rodni in the water. Okay, I see a lot of you were there during that live, so that's a good thing. For those of you who aren't, I will link those of you who didn't hear what I had to say, I'll link that down below right here in the description somewhere on one of these boxes over here or up here. I think they appear in all 4 corners of my video. So here I am with my hands trying to show you, but it was somewhere around here. So I presented in the live chat yesterday while we were all listening to the press conference. I presented in the live chat, how do we know that Kiely Rodni drove that car into that lake on August 6th, on the night of Friday the 5th, going into Saturday, August 6th, 12:30, last communication. How do we know that for sure 100% that night is when that car was driven into that lake somehow? We know that the car was in that lake. It wound up in that reservoir, in the Prosser Reservoir, in 14 feet of water, approximately 55 feet off of the shore. But we don't know definitively how that car got into that lake. Did she drive it herself? Did she pass out and behind the wheel and went into the lake in that car? Or did somebody else do that? So what I'm saying and what I proposed in the chat, and I didn't say that this is a definitive and this is not something that I would bank on, But as detectives, as people who are taxed with investigating crimes, I say this: if that lake was allegedly cleared by law enforcement before Adventures with Purpose showed up, and Adventures with Purpose was told that that lake was cleared, did that car drive into that lake or get put into that lake somehow after it was cleared by the dive teams of law enforcement? The conversation about the tracks leading into that water, if there was any rain event or if somebody came, uh, and covered their tracks. We have seen crimes where people have gone missing, right? We've seen crimes where people have gone missing. I'm talking about Naomi Iron. Naomi Iron case, the perpetrator, Troy Driver, the alleged perpetrator who committed the crime against her and is in jail right now, he changed all four of the tires on the vehicle that he used to try to cover up his tire tracks. And I'm not saying that this has anything to do with this case, but criminals get real sneaky. Wilesy Pony, thank you for the $20 super chat. She says, I'm impressed, Dutyron. A great detective thinks outside the box. You have to think outside the box. And this is in no way, shape, or form me trying to defend my fellow brothers and sisters in law enforcement, because Ed Wallace and I had a candid conversation. He's in Iraq right now. We had a candid conversation yesterday about how this is a potential black eye for law enforcement. This is not a good look if, in fact, that vehicle was in that lake from day one, from that night. If at 12:30 or sometime thereafter, a short time thereafter, 12:30 a.m. on Saturday morning, August 6th, that car was driven into that lake and the police and the dive team cleared that lake, that's a black eye on them. That is a big, huge mistake. That is a human error, because we're not machines, we're not robots, we're not computers. We have to go based on the talent that's clearing said areas. I could think back to in the early 90s. I think it was 1992 to be exact. I was in my second year as a police officer, and I was on patrol in 1992, and there was a call for a suspicious package on the roof of a housing development, public housing. I think it was a 6 or 7 story building, and it was a call for a suspicious package on the day shift. Now, hear me out on this. The day shift got a call for a suspicious package, or a suspicious, I think it was a suspicious package is what it was labeled. The day shift answered the call. 2 officers went to that rooftop on the top of a housing authority building in 1992. They said it was unfounded. There was no suspicious package. We got the call on the midnight shift when I was working on the midnight shift, the same call, the same thing. And we went up to the roof, and it was a body that was stuffed inside of a suitcase on the roof, dismembered in lots of different parts. And we recovered the remains inside the suitcase. My partner and I discovered it. But it fell back on the day shift because the day shift got the same call and apparently didn't go up and check the roof. Or that item was put there after the fact. So it's something to think about, and it's something that has a potential in this case. It has a potential in this case to be a possibility. And I want you all to just think about that. And again, folks, I'm not saying that this is what happened, but there is a potential for that, you know. The proximity of where the water was, the time of day and night, early night under the cover of darkness. Did she have an episode where she drank too much or consumed too much alcohol and or drugs? We don't know. Did she pass out and somebody panicked and hid her for a day or two? We don't know. But as detectives and the folks that are charged with investigating exactly what happened to Kiely Rodni, they have their hands full. And how are we as civilians, how are we as the general public to have confidence now in a group of investigators who cleared the Prosser Lake or the Prosser Reservoir, and Doug and Nick and Josh and the whole Adventures with Purpose team came in there and searched that lake that was allegedly cleared? How are we to have confidence in that? That is a reasonable conversation to have. Now, I'm not saying that they're all incompetent and that they can't handle the job. If someone searched that lake and missed that car, it's a huge black eye for law enforcement. No doubt. There's no arguing it. You know, for me, if there is clear and unequivocal evidence that they missed that vehicle in 15 or 14 feet of water, and that water looked to be very clear to me. It didn't seem to be murky waters as we have here in the Hudson River and New York Harbor. Yeah, Purity, I'm going to highlight that comment because that's a really good one. I never seen the screen name in my chat. I'm sure Purity has been around. It looks like Purity is subscribed to the channel because it's got the little red YouTube thing there. But Purity says, the point is, don't jump to conclusions before the facts come out. I agree wholeheartedly with that statement. This is just, as I have in the title, a conversation. Kiely Rodni, how was she missed while searching? Question mark. Everything that we're speaking here about today are just possibilities, you know? And there could be a strong chance that we don't have, and there is a strong chance that we don't have all the information that they had available to them before Adventures with Purpose went in that water. Remember, we heard Doug and Nick on when they did that interview with, I think, Fox 40. Anybody see that interview? I think I played it the other day at Fox 40. Doug and Nick were asked, and also News Nation, they asked him, how much intel, how much conversation are you having with law enforcement? And Doug right away said, a lot. How much intel are you getting from law enforcement? And Doug said, right away, Doug Bishop said, a lot. That speaks volumes to me because the information that was shared with law enforcement and Adventures with Purpose, Doug and his team, was more than probably the parents knew, because when they went in those lakes and when they went in those bodies of water and started searching for this vehicle and for Kiely, they became partners with law enforcement. You know, they became partners with law enforcement, and law enforcement had to trust them, and they did trust them. And these are good people. This is a great group. This is an organization that, if you want to fund and help somebody that searches for the missing, and they specialize in vehicles in water. They don't go out and search on dry land. They search for vehicles in water, which is the toughest thing to do. It takes you got to be physically fit. You got to be mentally ready. You got to have all the skills. These folks are specialized. This is a specialized unit. So if you want to support search groups or search organizations, Adventures with Purpose is one of the top ones that would come up to in my head when it comes to searching for vehicles and missing folks in cars, in bodies of water. That's part of their criteria. So I think, training going forward, could be something that Adventures with Purpose could offer. Any of their skill set and their knowledge, share it with the dive teams of other law enforcement agencies. You heard them speak, and I believe it was Doug and Nick together again. They said the communication they had with the dive teams from law enforcement were unbelievable. And they were saying it was a great partnership. So that's a really good thing. North Florida, Gary, always great to see you. Thank you for joining. So, you know, like I said, folks, for me, you can't jump to conclusions on this thing because we do not have all of the data. Harlem Raiders, good to see you. We don't have all of the data on what exactly transpired. The autopsy, no matter how long she was in the water or how short she was in the water, when that autopsy is conducted, they will know, not right to the minute or second, but they're going to know approximately how long she was in that water, how long that vehicle is in that water. There is a method of detecting how long a person is inside and underneath and in water. Ed Wallace and I spoke about that yesterday privately. I am reaching out and communicating with Dr. Barbara Butcher and Dr. Larry Dobrin, who is a forensic dentist, and also we're going to reach out to all of our communications, all of our contacts, to get as much advanced data as we can in regards to victims that are in the water and how they can detect that. So they can tell by the forensic examination approximately, not down. It's a science, but they can't get it. They'll give you a time frame. I'll put it to you that way, based on science. So I'm going to have a specialist that comes on and speaks about this with Ed Wallace and I. Like I said, we're going to wait until next week until things kind of you let this you got to get let the family grieve and things of that nature. But that's what we do here. So if you're not yet subscribed, and you please would take a moment to consider subscribing, giving this video a thumbs up, supporting this community here, Crime Time with Dutyron. We try to bring you as much valid information from the investigative side. My partner, Ed Wallace, if you don't know, is retired crime scene unit investigator. He's a first grade, that's the highest grade detective in the New York City Police Department. He retired from the crime scene unit. He has responded to thousands of crime scenes and has worked in the medical examiner's office. He knows all the things that need to be put together to get to the answers. We covered the Gabby Petito autopsy and Brian Laundrie and several other cases. We were out on the Chad Daybell and Laurie Daybell Vallow case. So we did a lot of stuff. Brent Montgomery, thank you for becoming a channel member. It's about time, Brent. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the membership. Dr. Ed Moskowitz, thank you for being here. I want to just say hello to a few folks. Single Mama 4, good to see you. I'm going to go to the chat here. I know a lot of folks have questions. We all have questions, and a lot of the questions are unanswerable at this time. We cannot answer questions like, what happened to her? What was in her system? They're going to find out what was in her system. It doesn't matter that she was in the water for 2 weeks or 5 days or 3 days or, that is not going to matter when it comes to laboratory exams with the medical examiner staff. There's so many specialists, and they're not going to be handling this with one person. It's going to be many forensic specialists in the medical examiner's field. So that will be happening. That is going on. Autopsy was performed today, but the forensic examination could go on for days. It could go on for a week. And the tox reports, those can take, as they said yesterday at the press conference, 4 to 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks, folks. So don't expect those to come back immediately. It's going to take some time. I keep referring back to Cassie Carley. Cassie Carley, we're still waiting 4 months. We're waiting 4 months for her report to see what her cause of death was. How did she die? Was it a drug overdose? Was it alcohol? Was it whatnot? And that is pertaining also to Kiely Rodni. They're going to find out if she, had a lethal dose of alcohol or drugs and or both. And they're going to do their best to get that. So we're going to speak about it, folks. I'm going to look for the chat. If you guys have any questions or comments or concerns, I'll look at the chat real quick, and if there's anything that I see quickly, I'll pick it up. Princess Michelle, good to see you. Harlem Raiders is in the house. Good to see you, Lieutenant Pete. Thank you to the super chatters and all the folks. By the way, Cheryl and Shofner, good to see you. Car tipped towards the engine. Yes, the engine fills up with water as it goes in. Engine is the front of the vehicle is the heaviest part. It fills with water, and as it fills with water, it nosedives and goes down. And that's how that goes. You could nosedive and roll depending on, the footage. We know that it was 14 feet where the car was resting upside down. There's nothing shady about that. That's how it happens. DutyRon, question from Aaron. Hold on a second. It's a good one. We're being a minor while the parents have the right to prevent the results being made public. Question. I'm not sure. Was her being a minor, will the parents have the right to prevent the results being made public? It's a criminal investigation if it is something that's criminal, right? If she died of natural, well, I'm not going to say this is not going to be natural causes, but whatever the reason is of why her car wound up in that lake, and if it's deemed an accident by the accident investigation squad, now don't forget there's a couple of different moving parts to this thing. There's the California Highway Patrol, who are experts in accident recreation and accident investigation. So they will be able to detect if the car was in drive, look at the computer components of the car. There's an ECM, there's a whole bunch of different CMs, the computer modules for the engine and transmission, all of the electronics, how fast, the data, and all the speed and all the stuff. They're going to get that from the black box, so to speak. And they'll do all of their, investigation in regards to that, sort of like a black box. Yes, Eddie. So the police have a couple of different components to put together here, so it's not going to happen overnight. But I don't think that they will be able to block the cause of death from being released, and that'll get released not by the parents. It'll be released by the police department, and they're going to make that decision on their own. It doesn't matter if she's 16 years old. It's not like she's 10 years old. But at 16, she is still a minor technically. If she was 17, then it wouldn't be that wouldn't be the case. But she is. I don't think that they could stop that information from coming out because, they have an investigation to do, and I don't see the upside to them holding that back. They want the people and the residents of the community to know exactly what happened. We have not just a missing persons case now. We have someone who is deceased, and we don't know if she's deceased under nefarious or, fugazi, or whatever you want to call it. Or criminal activity. If there's criminal activity, they can't hide that from the public. They're going to have to let the public know that there was criminal activities involving this. So, all right, let me look at some of the comments quickly. Honda CRV is 5 foot. Okay, there's a little bit of. Was Jagger the boyfriend at the party? He claims he wasn't. I don't know if he was or not. Thank you for that question, though. You think her car had a black box crash? I think a 2013 Honda CRV has definitely has data in 2013. I didn't see the family statement, Amanda, but I heard it was beautiful. I didn't see it. I'm working here, so I didn't get a chance to look at it. So I'm looking at some of the chat, and again, I don't really go on conversations that happen on Facebook and Twitter and what people talk about. I go based on what's being put out by law enforcement and maybe, you know, if family has stuff to put out. So I'm not really going on things of that nature. But I'm going to tell you this. Here's a good one. Someone said something about fingerprints. Will fingerprints still show up? Rachel Beth Huff. That is a freaking awesome question. Kudos to you, Rachel. Rach Beth Huff. Ed Wallace, I asked him that yesterday, and he has and said they can retrieve fingerprints from the vehicle underneath the water. The fingerprints don't get washed away. So fingerprints will be able to be had from Kiely Rodni's vehicle. The answer to that is yes. And I got that straight from the horse's mouth, straight from Ed Wallace. So I wanted to talk about Adventures with Purpose just a little bit more because I'm so proud and I'm so, you know, I'm so thankful that we have people, great people like Doug, Nick, and his team, Josh Cantu, and all of the other members of Adventures with Purpose and all of these organizations and groups. Then don't forget, there's a lot of smaller mom and pop dive teams that are all over the United States. So I wanted to mention quickly, you know, they talked about what happened on the faithful day of the recovery, Sunday, August 21st at 10:40. They put 2 sonar boats into the Prosser Creek Reservoir, Lake Reservoir, whatever you want to call it. At 11:15 a.m., Nick, that's his partner, Nick Rinn, detects a potential mass inside in the water. 14 feet of water. They go down. They mark it with a magnet. He dives down to positively identify it. They come back up. They notify the family and law enforcement simultaneously. Kiely's dad and the grandfather come onto the scene within minutes. These are their words. And August 21st is approximately 15 days later. Was the car in there since August 6th? Again, we talked about it. That's going to have to be figured out because we don't know. We don't know. And I'm hoping and I'm praying that we hear those details because the public needs to hear those details. Because think about it. We are speaking about this, right? We're speaking about this and we're from far away. Think about if this happened where you live. Think about if the community, if this happened where you lived and you were a parent. You definitely want to know if there is a murderer out there, if there's someone who murdered somebody on the loose, if there's someone who did something nefarious to Kiely Rodni, you as a parent and as good human beings would want to know, do we have to worry? Is there somebody else out there that's walking around? So it's very important that this information is put out to the public, especially for that community there in Truckee and surrounding communities. So, you know, that's an important thing. Leah Kessel says the $75,000 needs to go to Adventures with Purpose. I agree. Give the money to them and let them use it for equipment and to find more people, to close more cold cases, to bring closure to more families. And then there was also a person that was giving away a Dodge or whatever brand vehicle. It's called a Hellcat. That's a $100,000 vehicle. Give that vehicle away or give the equivalent of that money to Adventures with Purpose. That to me is another awesome thing. Yes, I saw Ryan Upchurch is getting his Hellcat detailed and sending it to Adventures with Purpose. Hopefully they could sell it because I don't know what they would do with that thing. They couldn't use it to help search for people. It's a rear wheel drive monster car, you know, or not monster car, but it's a muscle car. That was the word I was looking for. So hopefully they could sell that and then use it for what they need it for, to get better equipment, to maybe get more staff to help them and things of that nature. But Adventures with Purpose, if you have a spare dollar in your purse or in your wallet, please go and donate it to Adventures with Purpose. Spicen, thank you for becoming a channel member. And I'm sorry if I botched your name. I'm always good for that. Thank you for becoming a channel member. Hey, and I want to say thank you to everybody who gives super thanks It's like super chat after when you watch the replay. So a special thank you to everyone who super thanks this channel and some of the other great channels that are out there doing the right thing. It's an option that YouTube gives for support while you're watching the replay videos. And I want to say thank you to everyone who is here in this live chat, communicating with us, talking about things that are important, you know. And over here, you're never going to get hogwash or jagaloonish behavior. It's going to be straight from someone who has walked the walk and talked the talk. Remember, for 20 years or plus, Ed Wallace and myself have walked the streets of New York City and investigated the streets of New York City, and closed a lot of cases, a lot of crime cases, a lot of murders, a lot of bad people we've taken off the streets, and we're proud of that, and we're proud to actually bring you these cases from the police perspective, not not from a mechanic's perspective. We can tell you exactly what it's about and how the job gets done and what it takes to get the job done. So again, I want to say thank you to everybody for being here. Each and every one of you are valuable, and your contributions to missing person cases, whether you are handicapped or have physical constraints, you could do stuff by sharing, getting on the phone, liking, subscribing, sharing these videos out on social media, helping with banners, helping with anything behind the scenes that can be done from remotely, so to speak. So there's a lot of people who say, DutyRon, I really can't help. You can help. There's a tremendous amount of people who can help. Listen, I have Combat Vet. Thank you for the super sticker. Much love and respect to you, Combat Vet, and thank you for your service to this country. God bless you, and service to the world. There's folks like Alicia B, Dawn Marie, Black Rose 11, so many of the folks here, Trucker Steve, Matty Boy Sully. I can just go on and on and on. Joey Brooklyn, you guys help tremendously. Eddie T, I'm thankful for all of you. And I appreciate Charleston Amy, always great to see you. And listen, if I miss you in one of these chats, don't take it personally because the chats go fast. Susie Gomez, thank you for being here. The chats go fast. Sometimes I miss it. Sometimes I get it. Just again, I'm not a computer. I'm not a machine. I'm not a machine. I'm a human being just like you guys. And we all make mistakes. And when I make a mistake, I'm the first one to admit it. That's a part of who I am. I always admit if I do something wrong, or if I make a statement that's wrong, I try to correct it. And I'm always good for a stutter step. Live shows are live shows. None of this is scripted. None of this is planned. I just get a thought, I go live, and I talk to you guys when I'm doing this. When I'm in my studio, I have time to plan things and things of that nature. But when I'm in the car and I'm just talking to you guys, this is just me giving it to you ad lib and from my knowledge and experience. So that's how we do it. Yarn Barf, thank you so much for the $2 super sticker. Much appreciated. And again, I have to give thanks to the replay viewers and everybody who hangs out here in the chat. You guys that leave me comments and questions after the chat, I can't say enough good about you. You guys are awesome. Williamsburg, Brooklyn is in the house. Roxanne says, DutyRon, is it possible the tide has moved the car out further to give a false sense of hitting the water at a high rate of speed? The car seemed undamaged by the impact. A car is a heavy item, right? It goes into the water, and if the water is set up where it has a shelf and it goes down really deep, or if it's a subtle and gradual grade, those are all things that come into play here. It's not necessarily meaning if it was 55 feet out that that car went 100 miles an hour into the water. All of that they're going to be able to determine that by the accident investigation squad. Our highway patrol and the NYPD, they do all of the accident investigations where it involves a fatality. And California Highway Patrol is on this one. California Police, the LAPD, right? second largest police department in the United States. They have unlimited amounts of resources, and the California Highway Patrol are top notch. They're top notch investigators. They know this stuff. This is their stuff. So I'm going to wait until they give their official ruling on this. But there's a potential that the car drifted. Yes. So in answer to that question, and thank you for it, Roxanne, is it possible the tide moved her? I don't know the mechanics of that reservoir and lake. I'm not sure it has tides where it goes in and out, but definitely water moves and shifts, and depending on a lot of different conditions. Her being found in the back seat, that's a good one, Jessica, because a lot of people are caught up on that one. But thank you, Roxanne, for the super chat. Water fills up in a car. Just picture this vehicle here. I'm in my car, and it, God forbid, goes in the water, right? Windows are up, windows are down. It doesn't matter. The water is still going to get in eventually and fill up the vehicle, right? So the compartment of the vehicle is going to fill up with water. If you're seat belted in, it doesn't mean that it's going to hold you in and that you're just going to stay there. But it's going to have a factor. If your seatbelt's off, you'll move around easier and faster. But even with a seatbelt on, if you go in the water and you're in the car, it's upside down, it's right side up, it doesn't mean that you're going to stay in that front seat. So just because she was found in the back seat doesn't mean that there were some more nefarious activities going on. But it doesn't say that there isn't. It could be either way. But I'm telling you, if you're in a car and picture the vehicle filled up with water, doesn't matter if it's upside down or right side up, if you're in there and your body is in there, or there's multiple bodies, they're going to float around. They're not going to stay in one place. They're going to move. The car shifts forward, it's going to move back. That car went down like this. So, again, as the car moves and shifts, and just with body filling up with water, bloating, and things of that nature, this is not a great conversation to have, but it's certain that she will move. She will move around. Susan Oliver, great to see you. I went to high school with a girl by the name of Susan Oliver. She's a good friend of mine. I don't think that you are her, but I love the name. Susan, good to see you. Pippadot, always great to see you. The engine is the heaviest part of a vehicle, and will make the car tilt down once it starts filling up with water, and that happens very quickly, very quickly. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate that. So this will be a redirect to Bill Cannon. Bill Cannon's doing a show about this topic at 5 o'clock, 5 p.m., Police Off the Cuff. He's going to be doing a show in regards to the police failure, the potential for police failure. Anything is possible, little Patty. She says she could have moved to the back seat for air since the car tilted. It's a possibility, but we don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Joey Brooklyn, good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining. So, you guys have keep those good questions coming. Keep the questions coming. Yeah, Johnny Rice, thank you for that. I'm going to reach into my glove box, and this is what John Rice is referring to right there. So let me get it. So Adventures with Purpose sells these in their merch store. This one's from Blue Sky BOS. So this is mine, Blue Sky BOS. This is what John is referring to in Adventures with Purpose. This is a life-saving tool. This tool is a lifesaver. Every car that you're in should have one of these. This will break the glass. If I hit this against the glass, it's going to break it. And on the opposite side is a seatbelt cutter. As you can see, there is a seatbelt cutter. You just take it on the seatbelt. It slices through it like butter. And I recommend that each and every one of you have these in your vehicle. Adventures with Purpose, they sell these in their merch store and it goes to a good cause. If you're going to buy one of these, go and buy it from them. But if you don't go over to their thing and buy it from them, I will link it for safety reasons in the description here on how you can get it from them and how you can get it straight from Amazon. This is a great thing, and I highly recommend. Every vehicle in my household has one of these. So Lot says I think he or she means the cops should know this kind of drug, alcohol party, but not trying to stop it. That was a question. And you know what? I'm going to go back to that super chat and I'll put it on the screen if I can find it. But that's a valid question. That's a valid question. And I'm going to put it up. Thank you for that. Lot. So basically, I had that same question in my mind. Like, are these a regular occurrence end of summer parties? It sounded like it was branded end of something, end of summer or whatever. Are these things happening? And they talked about the sanctuary and stuff like that. Is this something that's going on in the Prosser family campground? Is this going on without anybody calling the police? And who was in charge of, who runs that Prosser family campground? Whose responsibility is it to make a phone call to the police? We know that the police weren't called there. At least I haven't heard anything about that. But, if these types of parties are going on, I know in my community, in my neighborhood, if someone was to go out to one of my local parks, they close at darkness, right? And if some of them are open past darkness, there's an 11 o'clock curfew. But if there was a bunch of youths, 16 years old, underage drinking, you could bet your bottom dollar somebody would be calling. But I live in a more residential neighborhood. But maybe because this is out in the middle of, of a campground, maybe it's something that they just let go. But yeah, I did wonder early on why or if there was any police, if there was any calls for service to that location. They never revealed that, and I would be curious to know if this campground, because it's a campground, Debbie. Good question, good comment. But because it's a campground, it doesn't mean that you could do illegal activities there. It's still, last time I checked, falls under the auspice of United States of America, and in the United States of America, we have laws, right? So, I who knows? I don't know. It's a good question, and it's something to think about. You know, and I'd want to have answers for that. S. Rodriguez, good to see you. Thank you for joining. Dutyrons, could the drinks or drugs perhaps have been laced with something? You know, uh, Lydia or Lita Live. Sorry about that. It's not Lydia. Lita Live. Yeah. And if it was in fact anything that she ingested of, of a poisonous nature or drug, overdose, that's going to show in the in the um, in the autopsy with the tox report. So when they do the tox, that's going to come out in there, and there's many ways that they can get the tox reports from a body that's been submerged in water. So, all right, guys, much love and respect from my house to yours. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. If you guys can, right here and now, while we're here, give this video a thumbs up, share it out onto your social media platform. Get the word out there. Say hello to everybody, that's joining into the chat. Keep the conversation engaging, but if you have something that's not nice to say, don't say it at all. Just keep it to yourself. But again, there's going to be wild speculation that's going to be floating around and things of that nature. Try not to get involved in the wild speculation and conspiracy theories, because right now I think this family needs us now more than ever to get around them, support them, pray with them. They lost their daughter, 16-year-old girl. This is a parent's worst nightmare. I wouldn't wish this, God, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And I don't have many enemies, but I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. So let's consider, if you're in these chat groups or in Facebook groups, be nice, be kind. Don't say, bad things, because you never know who's going to view it. All right, guys. So a lot of love and respect from my house to yours. As I always like to end these lives, God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. That was a little premature of me ending on my rollout. God bless the world. God bless the United States of America. And God bless each and every one of us here in the chat. but especially all the victims of crime and their families. Kiely Rodni, her mom, Lindsay, and her dad and her extended family, her grandparents, they need us now more than ever. Let's send them strength, prayers, and positive vibes. And also, don't forget about Adventures with Purpose. Those folks, those men, those 6 men that were on that mission, they need us too. They need us to pray for them. They need us to send them strength. They need us to support them. They need us to wrap our arms around them virtually. They are going through it. They just pulled a 16-year-old girl and 23 others out of the water in this past 2 years, or however long they've been doing this. They need us, man. Those folks, those guys need us. They need our prayers. They need our strength. All right, guys. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the love, and thank you for the support. I'll see you all. Brenda, don't sweat it. I love you. I think it's awesome that you're always here and you're always in the chat. All right. God bless, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace and love from DutyRon. Now you're going to see my dog and my bird, 35-year-old African gray, Oscar and Popeye. I'll see you guys soon. Love and respect.